Hello, and welcome to the second installment of Architectural CAD. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the other features that we have on CAD, such as the modify. So modify is going to be how we change some of the drawings that we put on here. We're going to talk about annotation, layers, properties, groups, and utilities, and a little bit of and clipboard. Notice that I skipped over blocks for right now, and that's kind of a whole horse of a different color. So we're going to spend a little bit more time, probably one particular video, on blocks alone. So let's go over here to modify. And let's talk about some of these things. Now, you'll see that there are a lot of things there that you can choose from to make things happen. But in some cases, if you highlight the item and right click, then you have some of these modify choices right there that will make it very, very quicker to get things done rather than having to go back. I know you've heard me say this before, but that's what I'm moving maybe 3/4 of an inch to a half an inch on my mouse, but little little things like this that take up minutes of time add up and can create a longer drawing experience, and it can be a little bit fatiguing. Remember that you want to have one hand on the mouse, one hand at least on the keyboard, sometimes two, when you're trying to type things in. So let's just I'm going to put a circle in here, and I'm going to click on move, and there's two things that you can do. Let me go put a line in here as well. Okay, so we've talked about these nodes. All right, so we've got an end node, we've got a center node, we have quadrant nodes, and we have a center node. So you don't always have to go to the move to move this. You can actually grab the center node and move that in order to do that. But now let's look at something here. Here we have more than one item. And let's go and click on, did I take that apart? I did take that apart. This one's not taken apart. Okay, notice that I really don't have a centralized node on the rectangle. So if I were to try to move, then it's just going to move one thing, and it's not going to move the whole thing. So in this case, I would right click, hit move, and then I can pick a point anywhere on here. Now, because of what I've got set up down here, let me think, where is it? Center. I believe it, no. Well, nevertheless, if yours don't show up with this little star in the middle of your, so make sure that you have your own snap on. And when I highlight this and I go to move, then if I just hover over the line, I'm shown this center node. So and my computer just freezes up. Jeez. Okay, so I can hover over that, get this node, and I can move the thing from the center. Now, without hitting move, it doesn't show up. No matter what I do, it does not show up. So I have to hit move, and then, like I say, I hover over the item, and then it will show me the center of this particular item. Let's say, for instance, I do this whole thing and I need to move this entire thing. So it's not going to show me that center point. Now it is showing me the center of this circle here because I hovered over the circle, but as a whole, actually I take that back. Yes, it does. It does show me the center base. So I can click on that and I can move this whole item from the center point, the centermost point of the drawing. All right. Copy is the same way. So move, obviously, we are moving an entire object. Okay. But we also can copy. I don't know if you noticed or not, but if I click on move and I don't have anything highlighted and I just click on move, it's going to ask me, look down here at the bottom, select your object. So also the dynamics tell me to select my object. So I can go in here and I can select all of these if I want to. All right, once they're selected, I want to hit enter. And then I can pick whatever point I need, and I can move that into proportion wherever I need to. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo. It takes everything back for me. And copy is, again, the same way. All right. I can highlight the object first, hit copy, pick a point. Always remember to go by what it says down here. This is the way that the program communicates to you. Then I can click on whatever point I need, and I can copy that as many times as I need. Stretch. Don't really use stretch very much. Rotate. All right, so let's say that we have an object that we want to rotate. So I'm going to click on that, and I can either right click to get to rotate, or I'm going to go up here and hit rotate. All right, and a couple of things, the first thing it asks you is for a base. So we want to go in here and, pick the base. It doesn't have to even be on the object. We can pick the base way out here, and whoops, sorry, there it is. And we rotate it. So, golly, early in the morning. So I want to rotate this object, and I click on the center point. Now, down here it says specify rotation angle or copy reference, so on and so forth. And the default is 0, 0, 0. So as you can see, I'm rolling around here. I can do it by hand if I want to have that to line up that way or line up to where the original one was, so forth and so forth, and I can do that. I can also go in here, and I can't really point to that box, but I can go in here and I can type in 45 degrees. Bam, there it is. It's moved it to 45 degrees. Now, it did not, let me show you what I'm talking about. There's 45 degrees. It did not move it to 45 degrees. It moved it 45 degrees from where it was before. Okay, so we can go in here and check that. We haven't set up our annotation yet, but there you go. You see that is 45.00 degrees, all right, from where its original location was. Okay, so let's do this again. So I'm going to highlight the object. I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit rotate. And this time I'm going to pick on the end of it here. I'm going to click on that. And now down there at the bottom, down here, it says copy, reference, so forth. So the blue letter in each of the words is the command for that. So I'm going to hit R and enter. Now it says to specify the reference angle, okay? Or I'm just going to, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on the end of it, all right? Then I'm going to click on the other end, all right? It says down here, specify an angle or click on the second point. So I'm going to click on this point here, and I can rotate it to match this point down here. Okay, so there's two ways that you can do that, or three ways actually. You can do, and again, let's talk about that, cover those. I can rotate freehand from any point, okay? And it doesn't have to be on the item itself. I can click over here and I can rotate it. I can go in here and hit rotate, give it a base point, type in 90 degrees, and it gives me that. So I can do it by typing in the degrees that I want, or I can hit rotate, grab a point. I want to have a reference, so I'm going to click R, enter. Okay, I'm going to re-establish that initial point that I started here. Then I'm going to go grab the other point, and then I can move it to align with whatever I want to. Mirror. Obviously, this is, it's perfectly good sense as to what this is. When I hit mirror, click on mirror. Notice that mirror is not on the predetermined right clicks. It's just not there. I use it quite a bit. All right, so I'm going to click on mirror, and it's asking me for a point of mirror. So a line. So let me go back here and explain this just a little bit. We'll just do the whole freaking thing here. So I'm going to establish a line, and I'm just going to highlight the whole garbage here, and I'm going to go mirror, and I'm going to go to this line, and I'm going to click up top, and I'm going to click down bottom. And as you see, now it asked me, do you want to erase the original one? At this point, no. All right, so the default is no. So there it is. I have all of those items mirrored on a line where I can take the line away, and I have that. All right, so what is so significant about that is that I can draw, say, half a house, and I'm just going to do it very crudely. Okay, I can draw half a house, and then I can highlight that. I'm going to hit mirror, grab that center point, go straight up, and I now have a completed house. Or, I don't have to go straight up. I can hit mirror, grab that point, and I can go at a 45-degree angle. I can go at a horizontal angle. And of course, I can go at that vertical angle. Technically, I can go at any angle that I've got to in here. And now, why would that be significant? Let me go over here to this other drawing here and explain that. Let's see, what can I do? Let's just grab this one little drawing here, copy. Now, this time when I copied, I guess I need to talk about that. I highlighted that, and I typed in Control C. Okay, so that's going to copy it. And then I don't have to give it you see here where it copied, clip copied. And then if I go and hit Control V, I can place it. Now, this type of copy did not allow me to grab a reference point to go and put this in. The only way that I can do that is to hit the copy selection here, and then it's going to ask me for that point, and I can line that up. Now, let's remove the front door here. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to pull that out. Now, got a window here. Say I want that window in this wall here. So I'm going to go to mirror, and I'm going to click this corner, and I'm going to go to 45-degree angle and click again. It's going to ask me, do I want to erase? No. Bam. There it is. So it transferred it over to the front wall just by using a 45-degree angle to mirror it over into this wall here. And then, of course, I can go through here and clean it up. Scale. Scale is very useful. So let's see. Let me just open another drawing right quick so I can give you a better understanding of what that does. And I've got just tons and tons and tons of drawings in here from over the years. That load. Okay, so let's see if this is the one. Yeah, it is not. Yes, it is. Okay. So let's say, for instance, I'm drawing my section. All right. So in order to draw the section, notice that I've taken the plan and I've turned it cockeyed on here, and I can do the vertical construction lines here, and I can hit key points in here, such as my windows. Oop, missed that one. I'll go back and fix it. My windows, my outsides, and so forth and so forth. So notice that when I get down here, and this is where the saying projection drawings. Okay, so we really didn't cover that a whole lot, but what am I trying to think of? orthographic projection. Okay, so orthographic projections are how this is done. Obviously, we have the front view, we have the rear view, we have the side views, and I don't know why I don't have this particular drawing done. Maybe one of the others is, but nevertheless, I can project these points down from the side of the house, from the windows, and so forth, all by using that construction line. And remember, if you don't have construction line up here, you can get to it by dropping down on the draw palette. All right, so, and then it's telling me to specify a point. Well, I want to say I want to have a vertical line. Okay, so then I'm going to do it that way. Now, I know all of this stuff that I'm throwing at you is a lot to take in. So what I really, 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 really encourage you guys to do is when I show a particular command down here, pause the video and practice that over and over and over and over and over until it's stuck in your brain. Okay, so on this, the plan is drawn to the full scale, but when it's printed, it will be on a 1/4 inch scale. And so I'm going to draw this. This will be also on a 1/4 inch scale. However, I want to make this bigger so I can get more notes in here and show really, really good detail. So by highlighting the entire drawing here and clicking scale, then I could actually grab a point here and I can scale it, but I don't know what the scale is. I have no reference to go by. So what we want to do is we hit scale, and then so if this drawing is at a 1/4 inch scale and I want this drawing to be a 1/2 inch scale, then what am I going to do? I'm going to click at a reference point in here, and then I'm going to give it a scale factor. In this case, I want to go from a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. That would be 2. Okay, so now it has blown this thing up to twice its size here. And if you'll notice right here, we have 41 feet there, and this is showing 54.8. How do I fix that? All right, so this needs to be taken back down. All right, so if I click on the and I'm getting a little ahead of myself because we're not covered dimensions yet, but anyway, I'm going to click on this dimension, and I'm going to go over here to the properties, and I'm going to roll right down here to fit. And in the dimension scale, I'm sorry, wrong. I'm going to roll down here to primary units. And in this, it's already got something in here, but I'm going to type in 0.5 because it is at the 2 foot, or it's at the 1/2 inch scale, and I want it to go back to the 1/4 scale. So I'm going to divide that in half, bam, and then it takes it right back to 41 degrees. And I know that may be a little bit confusing, but because I went twice as big on this, I need to go half as much on this. Now, a minute ago, you noticed that there was this weird freaking number in there that I had, 0.6666667. So most of my drawings, and let me just go back and shrink that back down. Okay. Most of my sections and details are drawn at a 3/8 scale. All right, so I'm going to hit scale. I'm going to click somewhere on here, and then to go from 1/4 to 3/8, I'm going to type in 1.5. Now, how did I get that number? Let's go over here for just a second. 1/4 divided by 3/8 gives me, oh, what's wrong way, sorry. 3/8 divided by 1/4 gives me 1.5. That's the ratio to go up. All right, so that 0.666667. So I need to go in here, and I'm going to go back, and I'm going to put this at 0. All right, so must have a 0. I did put a 0. Oh, sorry, can't be 0. It has to be 1. Sorry, 1. Okay, so now 61.6. Obviously, that's wrong because this is a 3/8 drawing. So I'm going to highlight that, and I can go in here, and where I put 1 before I'm up 0.6666667, and I just hold it down, let it go, and then end with 7. Okay, that tells the computer that it's infinite. All right, how did I get that? All right, that was the first thing. So I wanted to go back to that quarter scale. So, whoops, sorry, quarter divided by 3/8 gives me 0.6666667. Okay, what if I wanted to go to a 3/4 scale? Then, you know, to grow from the quarter scale to the 3/4, I'm going to type in 3/4 divided by 1/4, and I need to, that's going to be a scaling factor of 3. In other words, if I were to have something obviously at a quarter and I want to go to 3/4, then obviously that is 3 times the size. Now, what am I going to need to change the dimension to go back to that? I'm going to say 1/4 divided by 3/4. So in this particular case, I would highlight the dimension, roll down here to the primary units, and I would put in 0.3333333333 so that it would give me the right size for that building. Okay, so scale, again, you can select the objects beforehand. Let me go back and pull this back down. Here we go. Again, I can go in and I can highlight everything that I want to scale. I'm going to hit scale, give it a point. Now, watch this. So the reason the point is so significant. So I'm going to click on this corner here. Actually, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a circle down here because I want to show you something. Okay. Now I'm going to highlight everything, but then I'm going to push Shift to de-highlight or why does this thing keep doing this? To select that. Okay. So I wanted to select it. I selected it, but then to deselect it, I push Shift on my keyboard and then click on the object again. It takes it away. Notice that it's given me a plus sign there. If I push Shift in and I hover over a line that's already been selected, I get a negative sign there. So that's going to deselect it. Okay, so I'm going to scale it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to click on that same point that I had here, and I'm going to say 1.5. And, well, I don't know, I must not have hit something right. But anyway, so this is this first point here is where it done the scaling from. So this should have been the base point and it shouldn't have moved. I must not have hit something exactly right there. Let's try it again. Let's just try it again. And I do have that parse perfectly on the, I don't know why I'm gonna keep my computer. I probably, because I got too much crap open, I would say. Yeah, that's probably what it is. So I'm gonna, like I say, I'm gonna highlight everything. Notice that I went to the blue rectangle, so I went from left to right, but I did not take fully the circle, and that's why I did not highlight it this time. I'm going to go scale, and let's see if I can hit this perfect this time. 1.5. Still moved it a little bit. I don't understand why it moved it, because it shouldn't have moved it. Nevertheless, you get the understanding that that base point is where it's going to be moved from. So a lot of times I may just click in the middle. If I don't want it to jump down any, then I'm going to click it down here at the bottom and it's going to grow upward. In this case, I clicked over here and it grew in this direction here. Okay, so trim, we kind of went over that the other day. And, you know, if I wanted to trim and extend something, then I could click on trim, get rid of it completely if I want to. Or I can push, notice that it says there, push Shift, and I can extend back to wherever, it's going to go to the next one. But let's look at this for a second. I'm going to move this line. Now, let's say that I want this line to extend all the way to this line. If I highlight that line and go to trim or extend, I'm going to push in shift. Notice that it goes directly to that line. The alternative to that is if I were to push extend, I would just have to go through here several times to get to that point. All right, so I could highlight that first, and then I can extend all the way to that line. Notice that it has a drop down where you can go extend, trim, but again, you can use the shift button to get one or the other in there. Fillet also has a drop down menu where you can do chamfer, or you can do a blend a curve, all kinds of really neat stuff here. So if I hit fillet, if you look down here at the bottom, you have undo, polyline, radius, trim, multiples. So in this case, I'm going to do radius. So I'm going to click R, and I'm going to give it, say, 36 inches. All right. So I'm going to click on this line. I'm going to click on this line, and notice that it trims it and gives it a radius of 36 inches. Right, there's the radius, 36 inches. So what it's saying is it's 3 foot from here to there. Okay. So let's go back and do that again. All right. So I'm going to hit play. But this time I'm going to hit trim. Okay. I'm going to type a T in, and it's going to give me this trim or no trim. So I don't want to trim. So this time I'm just going to put a circle. Whoops. What did I do wrong? Did I trim? Okay, no trim. And I guess I need to set the radius again. Yes. So 36 inches. Okay, so it's going to give me that fillet, but it's not going to cut any of these lines out. Let's go to chamfer. So it's pretty much the same thing, cut and dry, but you have a couple of different things here. You have distance, angle, trim, method, multiples, and so forth. So let's go distance. So I'm going to push D, and right now it's at 0, and I'm going to say again, let's use 48. I'm going to use 48 inches, 4 feet. All right. So, and it's asking me for 2 chamfers. So do I want to go 4 feet for both of them, or do I want to go a different one? So let's just go 4 feet for both of them. So since it's in there, I just click enter. I'm going to grab the first line, and I'm going to grab the second line. Now you see that the distance that was asking is the distance from here to the corner. Okay. So if I go in here and pull that up, and again, I haven't set the parameters. There it is, my 4 feet. Now let's go back. And this time I'm going to hit chamfer, but I am going to trim. My nose is running. Now I just used my arrow keys to pick that. All right, trim. And again, I need to set my distance. So I'm going to say 48 for one, and I'm going to say 24 for the other. Okay, so now this time, this distance here is going to be 4 feet. I'm sorry, wrong one. This distance here is going to be 4 feet. No, I'm still doing it wrong. Let me rotate this. Rotate. Click on my first point. I'm going to hit reference. Click on the same point again. Click on this point here, and I'm going to rotate that around just like that. So now it's 90 degrees. The reason that I'm doing this, and it looks like that this line was not straight either. I probably just drew it freehand. So now I can go in here, and I know this is crazy. So now I look here, and I must have done, well, I've moved it around. Let's go back. Let's go back. I'm gonna take that out. Do it right the first time, Hurley. Jeez. Okay. I guess I need to point that out too. Let's back up here for just a second. Notice that I wanted this line to extend up to this height here. So I grabbed on that node and I just reached over here and hit that point. So it left a little green plus thing there, which means that it has a trigger point. And then when I pull it back, it's going to snap in the direction the line was going. Okay, so then I can grab this and pull it over, or I can just extend this. Now let's try it. So chamfer, trim, I want to trim it. Distance, I want to give 4 feet, 2 feet, just like I had before. Notice that it had the last command in there that I gave it. So in this case, you'll notice that that length is 2 feet. This length is 4 feet. Okay, so that's how that works. Blending curve, so or blend curves. So let's let me see how I can do this. Let's say I'm going to click on this one, I'm going to click on that one, and it blended a curve from one to the other. If I have two lines that are maybe offset, such as this, I hit blend curve, click on the first line, click on the second line, and it blends me in a nice little curve in there for that. Okay. I usually go back and set all of these back to standard. Okay, array. Array is a little different animal, totally. Let's say, for instance, let's say, for instance, I'm going to do a floor. Let's just do that real quick. All right, so I'm going to say it's 20 feet by 12 feet. Okay, so there's the outside of my floor. And I'm going to explode that. So here's another one. So I want to make this 4 lines rather than one particular line. So I'm going to hit the explode button. And now each one of these are individual. I'm going to use the offset button. And this is super important. I use it all the time. So the offset button is the button where I want to, I want to copy this line, but I want to pull it over however distance that I need. So there's 2 ways that I can do this. Obviously, you see that the last command that I used was 3.5 inches, but I'm going to type in 1.5, hit enter, and that's 1.5 inches, by the way. And I'm going to click on the line, and then I'm going to tell it which direction it needs to go. All right, just by moving my cursor back and forth, then bam, there it is. Now I could notice that I could have done this several times. All right, so I offset it for 1.5 inches, another 1.5 inches, another 1.5 inches, another 1.5 inches, and so forth, so forth, so forth. But I want to, that's too hard, and I don't want to do it that way. One of the things that I like to do is I'm going to highlight this, I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to offset it 15.25 inches. Now, why in the world would I offset it? If it's 16 inches on center, why would I offset it 15.25? Because if I have a piece of plywood that starts at the edge of that, I want it to fall in the middle of this next joist. So there it is, 1.5. Now, it doesn't really, we don't have to worry about it falling in this particular place at 16 inches on center, but watch this. All right, so I go to my array, and I can do several different types of arrays. I can do a path array, polar array, or a rectangular array. The rectangular array, obviously from that picture, let's see if I can get that to come back up again. There we go. So I can click on one thing and it gives me both. It will copy it both in X and Y at the same time. And notice that, when I clicked on this, this opens up here. I have the rectangular type array, which is in that picture there. Then I can tell how many columns I want it to have, how many rows I want it to have, and the distance between them, okay, for a total distance here. So I can set these points up, and I'm going to come back and show you about this. What I want to use right now is the path array. All right, so I'm going to go down here. I'm going to hit path array. Make sure that you read what's going on here. Select objects. I'm going to select this object here, and I'm going to hit enter to accept it. Now it tells me, well, select the path curve. Well, it doesn't have to be a path curve. It can be just a straight line. In this case, I'm going to have the side of it coming out. Now, notice when we come up here in the path, it tells us how many rows that we have. All right, look at the picture. All right, so if we roll out, we have one row. There's not multiple rows in here. And the distance, the distance that's going on this currently is 2 1/4 inches. That's too close. So what I want to do is I want to change that to 16 inches. And there, bam, it gives me, it copied all of those all the way down through here at 16 inches on center. Now I'm going to get rid of this last one. Notice that this one split that. All right, because I set this first one up at 15 1/2, the last one is going to always fall in the middle. So I want to move that 3/4 inch back. Now I have all of my joists laid out there, and I didn't have to copy, or paste, copy and paste, paste. It all done it for me. Okay, so let's go back and change. Let's go back and delete that, and let's do polar array. Tell you what, let's do a wheel. Okay, so I got my center, and I'm going to give it, say, 9 feet. Nice little circle here. I did the diameter instead of the radius. Sorry, it doesn't matter. Then I'm going to put a line in here. And we'll start there and there. I'm going to highlight that line, or I can just go to array and select the object. Okay, I'm going to enter to make sure that it goes in there to be accepted. And then now it's asking me for the center point of the array. So I'm going to go back to this, click on the center point. Now you see what's going on here, but I can go up here and I can change these items. I can give it 12 if I want to. Okay, or I can, well, the field, let's say, for instance, I don't want it to go all the way around. I only want it to go to 180 degrees. So I type in 180 degrees and I get that. If I wanted 12 lines in 90 degree, I would do the same thing there. And it copies all of this for you. All right. You can give the degrees, minutes, and seconds between these. So that could also help you out when you're drawing. Say if you're wanting to do a staircase, and you know that, or a spiral staircase, and you know that it's going to go all the way around. You know that there's going to be 12 risers in there, so you can punch that in, and then you can determine. You just look at this, since you said 12 at 360 degrees, there's going to be 30 degrees in between each one of them. Now, this was obviously simple because we've got 360 degrees divided by 12 objects. What if we had 17 objects? All right, that's going to be a little bit, we got something weird going on here. What if we have, 92 objects? So we can go back through here and find out that there are 3 degrees, 54 minutes, and 47 seconds distance between those, each of those lines. Okay, kind of gives you a little cool little thing there. So I want you to play with that, and you can either hit close array or you can hit escape, which will take you out of that command. Now let's go back to that rectangular array, and we're going to play with some really weird stuff here. Okay, so I'm going to highlight all of this. Notice that it gets kind of convoluting when you've got all of these different node points on here. And so what I want to do, and I'm going to jump up here, I want to group this. So I'm going to go right over here to group, and I'm going to press group. Now when I highlight that, it still shows all of those, but I only have one point on there that I have to worry about. And that's a little bit more cleaner, and I don't have to worry about losing one of those lines when I'm trying to do my array or moving. So I hit the rectangular array. Obviously, you see what happened there. So I'm going to make both of these 4 so that I have a cube, and I can change the distance between those. So currently it's 27. Let's go 20 feet and see what it looks like. And notice that it only done it in the column, so it only done it sideways. It did not do it in the row, which is up and down. Always refer back to these pictures to help you figure out what's the row and what's the column. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing there, and now I'm down at 20 feet. Just for fun, let's see what 10 foot would look like. Okay, so now I have this really cool, looks like a spirograph object in here that I can utilize. I don't know what I would utilize it for, but maybe I want to do some art or something. So it's pretty cool little command there. So that is the rectangular array. Okay. Remember, at any point in time, are you kidding me? Oh, okay. I thought, am I still being recorded? It didn't show up, and that's what I thought. Okay, sorry. I'll have to cut that. All right. Give me a heart attack there. Okay, so let's talk about annotation. Now, when I'm drawing, I use this annotation shortcut, and I can drop down, and I've got a whole bunch of other things that I can do here. But from the get-go, I need to have a lot of this set up before I get started. Otherwise, it's going to be all kooky and everything. So notice up here at the top, I've got all of these other commands. I'm going to go over to annotate. And the first thing that's going to be on the line here is the multi-line text. So let me give you an idea of what the multi-line text is. So when I do these, come on. And of course that one, yeah, there it is. So when I do stuff like this, when I do complete notes, then I use the multi-line command. Basically, I just, I give it how big I want it to be. And then, of course, I can type. And when it's all done, it is all one unit. There's, these words are not separate. If I want to, I can change the size of it. Well, let's see. Let me just go up here and do this one. If I need to change the size of it, I'm going to go down. I'm going to go in. Now notice that wait a minute, you need a second line here, a second column, but maybe I want it all to be on the same column. So I'm going to pull that tab. And if I need to move it, I'm going to grab the locator node up here at the top, and then I can move it, and I can change whatever I need to make it fit into the drawing the way that I want it to. Okay. So the settings in this drawing, the annotate settings in this drawing are not going to be the same as this. As a matter of fact, I'm in the McBride 2. Notice that my multi-line text is 5 inches here. If I go back over to the play, it changes to 1 foot 1 and 5/16. All right, so that might be the default by AutoCAD. What I want to do is, if I drop down here, if you drop down, you're probably not going to see some of these other things. It's probably going to show 8, so forth and so forth. By design standards, whenever we're writing on a drawing, in this case here, generally we want the font height to be equal to 3/16 when it is printed. All right. Remember that we are drawing this at full scale, but it it is actually on a quarter scale when we get ready to print it off. Okay, so we have to think this is quarter scale. Now I'm going to stop sharing here for just a minute. I want to explain something to you. All right, so I have the ruler here. This is my architectural rule. And remember I told you that we're drawing full scale, but it's going to be printed off to a quarter scale. So this is a quarter scale. All right, I have 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, so forth, so forth, so forth. But then right here, I have feet broken down into inches. All right, so 3/8 of an inch. Let me turn it over. Let's see, that's not the one. Doesn't have that. Okay, so there we go. I got, this is a life-size inch there. I'm gonna try to attempt to do this with both hands. All right, so you see that, I'm 4 feet and the scale is equal to 1 inch, or a 1/4 inch is equal to a foot. So if I move this over and align 3/8 to that 0 there, boy, I wish I could zoom in a little bit. Well, maybe I can. At some point, it's going to start dying out. Notice that the 0 in the top scale is now at 9 inches. Okay, so 3/8 in a quarter scale. So this is, I'm going to do this. Yeah, right there. Okay, so I'm showing you on the 1 inch scale so that you get a bearing on this. And I didn't realize the darn thing was so dirty. All right, so it's broken. This is a foot broken into a 1 inch scale, and it shows you 3 inches, 6 inches, 9 inches. All right, so if I'm talking about the quarter scale, where we go, quarter scale. Man, this lighting is terrible. This quarter scale, you can see, and you'll have to look at it yourself on a rule. I have 0. This is impossible. I have 0. I have 3 inches. I have 6 inches. I have 9 inches. Okay, so I want that to be 3/8. Share screen. Okay, but if you measure this, the height of that is 8 inches. Okay, so that is pretty well right for the command or for the title. But what if I go down here and I want to find out what these others are? Notice that I'm, somewhere around 5.5 inches on that. Well, what about the dimensions? I'm at 5 inches on those. So the point that I'm getting to is 5 inches is what you should be using on this. So let's go through this together so that you can set this up. So what I want you to do is I want you to use this little corner tab arrow here, and it's going to open up the font command tab. And in my case, I have a couple of different things going on there. You may have Romans too, I don't know. But so I am going to I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call it I'm going to call mine Hurley Co. That Hurley and Company is my company, so I'm going to call it Hurley Co. I'm going to change the font style down to, let's see. I'm going to go to, where's the blueprint? There it is. Country Blueprint. But I'm going to go to City Blueprint, and I'll explain why in just a second. City Blueprint, my height is going to be 5 inches. Okay, I have my width factor at 1, which is normal. I don't want it to be, I don't want to write it upside down or backwards, and I want it to come out at 0 every time. So, while I've got this here, you see what the font looks like. This is the preview of the font, and I'm going to go down to Country Blueprint. See how it gives it a little extra slant on that, and sometimes it can be a little bit messy. So I generally go with the city blueprint, and so I can change the oblique angle. I can give it 10 degrees. I can change that over, but a lot of times I don't like to. Okay, so I just leave it at 0. I'm going to hit apply and hit close. Notice now that the hurling company shows up here. I can pull these other, I can drop down and pick others that I want to. You can set whatever font that you want. However, just make sure that the font is clean and looks good and can be read easily. So now I'm going to go over to single line text. So what is single line text is, single line text is, notice that it's asking me for a point to begin. I'm going to click on that. Do you want it at 0? In other words, you want it to go this way? Yes, I do. So I'm just going to, since the default is 0, I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so then I can start typing Eric A. Hurley. Okay. Notice that it dropped down to a smaller thing here. Let's make sure that we are at the right height that we want. Okay, so yeah, it's 5 inches. That's good. That's good. All right. The further I get back, so let's say I'm way out here and I go through the same commands, it's going to it's going to make it larger so that I can type and still see it. But then when I hit enter, and I obviously can't spell my name, when I hit enter, it's like, what? Well, it's still there, but it's just like super small. Ain't that something? I can't even spell my own dang name. Okay. There. So that is set up the way that I want it to be. 5 inches. Let's go over to, and you got to, this command takes into account this command. All right. So let's set up our dimensions here. Okay. So I've opened up another drawing that I've already set my dimensions and so up. So I'm going to use this as a reference. I set these up probably 10 plus years ago, and I haven't touched any of this since. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up. I'm going to click on architectural, hit modify. And what I want to do is I want to use this as a reference to set up our new drawing. So you don't have these settings that I've been using for years. So that's what I want to do is I want to go through this with you so that we can get these set up the way we need to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print screen. I'm going to go down to we'll go down here to paint, and it looks like I've got a bunch of crap open here. And I'll just clear this out. Now I'm going to hit Control V. Well, I didn't have the right one here. Let me go back. Print screen. Oh, I can just, yeah, I keep forgetting this new snippet thing. I haven't used that much. Control V. So there, I'm just going to put this over there so that I can keep this to where I can see it. I'm going to go back to my drawing, and I'm going to go to the next screen, and I'm going to hit print screen, and I'm going to snip that. Next screen, print screen, snippet. I love this snippet. It's on come out with the Windows 11, and I just really like the being able to do these type of things rather than have to, get the whole screen and then have to clean it up later. Make sure that I'm going to see this. I'm not going to see this. So I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. Yes. Okay. Primary units. don't think I really need to go, because I don't change the alternate units very much. So I usually just kind of leave them alone. Okay, I'm going to go back over to remember, you're supposed to be doing this on the blank and not on not on that one drawing. You should always have it on the blank. So I'm going to open this up. I have started a new one, and I gave it the name Hurley Co. and as my company is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to look at this to make sure that I am where I need to be on that. So first thing is the color. I always like to have all of my written stuff in cyan. So I'm going to change everything to cyan. I may have to go back over to the fonts and change them to cyan too. I can't remember. Let's see if I get text in here. Yes, I can. I can change that. Okay, so now you see that everything is cyan. So what was some of the other things that I had? Cyan block 00. Okay. Block 0 0. Cyan block. Sound like a chicken. 4 and 6 and 1. 4, 6, and 1. Make sure that that was correct. That's not clicked. So no, this don't click that. Let's go back and unclick that. Okay. Moving on over to the symbols and arrows. Oblique. No, what? Oh, I see. The leader for that is oblique. It's still, I don't like that. I'm going to go, I've never paid any attention to it really, but I'm going to do oblique, closed fill on my leaders. Okay. So I have 4-inch, I'm just going to close that. Get it out of my way. Oblique. Okay, oblique, and that should be closed arrow size 4 inches, center mark 1/8 of an inch, break 1/8 of an inch. Let's go do that. Closed field 4-inch, center mark 1/8 of an inch. Oh, and one good thing about this as well. So I could type in 1/8 of an inch, or I can type in 0.125. Width is the same as 1/8, and it will change it for you. What was my break size? 1/8 of an inch. Okay. On this side, proceed with dimension text, jog angle 45, 1.5 inch text height for a jog on that as well. So change this to 1/8, 45, and everything is correct on that. Moving on to the text. In this particular case, I have Arch Quick. You don't have that on your computer. You have to import that. And at this point in time, I'm not gonna cover that. That's a little bit more complicated than it's worth. So we're just going to go with city blueprint. Or in this case, we're going to go with Hurley Co. on the text because we've already set up the text in Hurley Co. Cyan, no fill. Let me go back over here. You'll see that this should already be 5 inches because we set it up over here in the text. So remember when I said that, sometimes we need to set this text up first before we set up our dimensions because it will carry over. And let's see, factor height scale 1, above, centered, left to right, and aligned. offset dimension 2. Okay, so above, centered. What do I have? Do I have left to right? Left to right, yes. Left to right, offset. What did I say it was? 2? I can't remember. Can't think. 2. And then make sure that this is aligned. Okay, so if it's not aligned and it's horizontal, see how that is? It breaks it in the middle. We don't want that. We want it to align with the dimension line. It's going to fit. Okay, fit will be either text or arrows, which is the best fit for that. And that is already set. I'm missing some on that one. Okay, so let me talk you through that. All right, so text placement for the default position, if it cannot be default, in other words, if it's so small, where do we want that to put? And yours is going to be checked to beside the dimension line. Go to and click over dimension line with leader. Okay, with the leader. Moving on, and of course I don't have anything. I can't see that. That's all good. Over dimension line with center. Scale, we don't want to mess the scale up right now, and draw dimension line between extension lines. All right, so this is the dimension line. These are the extension lines. Last one is primary units. And in the primary units, we're going to make sure that we have architectural. Precision, currently you probably is on a 16th. We want to go to an 8th. And even though this says not stacked, because this particular contractor that I draw for, he does not want his stacked. We're going, and I'm going to show you what to put. Do not put not stacked. And then 0 suppression, 0 feet. So let's go back over here. And so precision 1/8 of an inch. Did I have that right? Not stacked. Oh, yeah. Telling you guys, I'm losing it today. I want you to click diagonal. And if you'll see this little one, I know it's kind of hard. That is diagonal. And if we go back over here, you'll see that that one is not stacked. Okay, so that particular one contractor wants it not stacked, and stacked or diagonal should be the one that you go off to. No round offs, scale factor 1, feet suppression, and I think that the rest of that is the same. Yes, it is. Okay. All right, so like I say again, I don't mess with the alternative units or the tolerances, and then we just click okie dokie and close. All right, so make sure that the, whatever you named yours is going to be up here, and this is what it should look like. So when I go in here to do a linear dimension, then it will give me what I want. All right, so some of these other things, if you'll notice on the home, you don't have a bunch of that crap. But say this dimension here, how does that work? So if I hover over this line, okay, it dimensions that line automatically. If I hover over this circle, I can give the radius, or I can change that down here at the bottom. Or maybe that's the diameter. Yeah, it is the diameter, because that's 9 feet 5 inches. So I can place that in there. Let me show you what it looks like with as a radius. Just type in R. Okay, so now it has we've got the diameter symbol here, and we have the radius symbol here. So either way you want to go. I usually like to do diameters rather than radiuses. And then some of these other stuff that I have up here. So if we drop down on this linear, let me go back over here. So this actually shows a bunch of stuff here, that doesn't have on that other one. Sorry, my phone went off. And so, it's limited to there. So we have the drop downs. So linear, obviously I was using linear to show you that. Aligned. So if I need to dimension this crazy line here that's not either, on an X or Y scale, then it will align it to that particular one. Now, why would that be used? Well, let's say that we're trying to build this and we're out here in the field. We're going to lay this out 10 by 20, and we want to make sure it's square. So one of the things that we can do is we can go in here and find out what our diagonal is before we get out in the field so that we can keep this square. Angular. I think I showed you that a minute ago. So if I need to say, what's the angle between these two here, then that will be the angular dimension. The arc length, let's see if yes, I've got this arc here. I want to know what the length of the arc is. No, can't do that. That's not an arc. I'm sorry, that's a spline. Let me draw an arc. So first, the middle, and the last. All right, so now I have an arc. Arc length, click on that, and it tells me how long that is. So we're talking about the circumference of that arc. So that is the arc length. Now, if you've got an arc and say that this isn't on there and you want to know what the arc length is, then if you highlight that, go over to your properties, it will tell you the radius, it will tell you the area, and I thought it told, oh yeah, the arc length right there, arc length. Okay. Moving on, we have the radius, and I think I showed you that a minute ago, and we'll use this one. There's my radius. Here's my diameter. And then the coordinates and the jog, I don't use. That coordinate goes back to, well, there, let me show you that picture. So some, when we get into major buildings, then we'll have to coordinate from, 0, 0 in the lower left-hand corner. And that way we can show where different pylons or anything is from 0, 0. And it sets up basically sets up a grid type system. When you're looking at this, the first time you open up any project, it will not be on single line, it'll be on multi-line, and it goes back to what I was telling you there. So if we go multi-line, and we can set it up and we can type work is. So we can set this up to do it that way, and everything is all one. I think I've already showed you that. Also, I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, but technically in architectural drawings, everything is capitalized. So let's say you typed up something there and you didn't have your cap lock on. I'm going to highlight this and I'm going to double click it so that it comes up. I'm going to highlight all of the text. And if I come up here, you'll see that I have uppercase. So I can change all of that to uppercase really quickly. Okay. Also, I noticed that this is not cyan. So I'm going to go back over to the annotate here, drop down on that. And I'm open. Wait a minute. This doesn't give me the color. Oh, it's because I'm on single line, maybe. No, where does it tell me that it's okay? Oh, I know why. Duh. All right, so let me go back over to home. I highlight that. Notice that it's on the 0. I don't want it on the 0. I want it on the text. Okay, so I should have already been on text up here to do this when I'm showing you that. So, you pick your properties there before you start drawing on it, but you can change it. And I'll explain that a little bit more too. Okay, so lastly, now there's some other stuff here, but lastly is the table. So I'm gonna open up that and you'll see when we do the window and door schedules, I can set up a table to be put in there. And so start from an empty table, from a data link, so you can upload stuff into that if you want to. We're not going to go there at this point. How many rows do I need? Remember, look at the picture. Okay, so how many data rows do I need? And again, look at the picture. You know, the width is something that we're just going to have to play with to make sure that we are the right size. One of the things that we can do is go back over to an existing drawing that I've done and find the, now this is my library of stuff here, and that's what you're going to be building up, is your library of stuff. I don't even remember what height it is. I just use it from time to time. So it's 1 foot 5 1/4 inches. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to hit table again. And well, how many rows did I have? I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in this case, I've got 5. That will change depending on how many windows or doors you have. Oops, let's go back over to play. Window table. 5, and that was I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna make it 16 inches. 1 foot 6. Whoops. 1 foot 6. The row, oh, that was the, yeah, the rows. The rows I have 5, and the row height. Oh, wait a minute, the column. The row height is 1 foot 6. The column width, one foot 6 inches. Why is it giving me this? Row height lines. Row column width. Row height. Why is it not letting me? Why does it give me that? I don't know. We'll find out. All right. So bam. And we can type in there whatever we need to do. Okay, and so forth and so forth and so forth. You see how it is? It comes up kind of funky. It's obviously too small. So I would have to go in here and modify this to make it right. But you know what I do? I go in here, and this is why I have it in my library. I go in here and I copy this thing. I paste it into the next one, and then I just basically go back and change what I need to. I've used this as a standard for so long that using the table draw method on CAD is just something that I just do not do. I will be, so again, you're going to be drawing, you're going to be doing your own stuff on here and through the practice stage of CAD. Okay. All right, we've covered that. And again, you know, when you guys get tired, pause this, take a break. Definitely pause it and practice, okay? We went over the layer properties last time, and so nothing of that is actually going to change. If you know, I said that this was, you know, this was on 1 or 0. Basically, I've drawn everything on 0, and you shouldn't draw anything on 0. If you go to the layer properties and you look there, the default layer, do not use. Well, if they don't use this, why is it on there? I don't know. So all of this should technically be something else. So what I'm going to do is I want to highlight all of this, but I don't want this to be highlighted. Oh, it's on 0 too. Okay, so I want this on a different layer. So I'm going to highlight all of my dimensions. That's what happens when you don't set them the way they should. Actually, I'm going to leave these two out for just a second. And I'm going, once I've got them highlighted, I can go and change them to dimension. Okay, but notice that this one was not. It's still on 0. I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. Match properties. So I'm going to click on match properties. I'm going to grab one that I know is on the text. Wait a minute, it should be on text. No, it should be on dimension. It was. Okay. Match properties. Click on that. Click on those two. And now these are on the dimension layer. Now the rest of these are on 0. All right. So what I want to do is I want to protect those so they don't change. I want to leave them on the dimension thing, but I want to change everything else to say wall. All right, so I'm going to highlight, no, I'm not. I'm going to highlight one item. Actually, I'm not going to highlight one item. I'm going to use this little isolate thing here. So if I highlight, I'm going to isolate only those that are on the 0. So I hit isolate, I click on one object, and then I hit enter. All right. Notice that these are subdued now. So technically I can go and I can move these out of the way. Wasn't supposed to move it. Why is it? Oh, wait, I know what it was. So I highlight these and I can change. See how these are locked? I can't change any of those, but I do want all of this to go to the A wall. So I'm going to click on A wall. It's going to say, hey, wait a minute, you got some of these that are locked, they can't be removed. That's fine and dandy. So now when I notice that everything is subdued now, I'm going to go back down here and I'm going to take it out of isolate, or I'm going to unisolate it. See that everything is on the A wall now. This is a hatch. I really want it to be on the hatch. So I click on the hatch, hit home, go back over to here, and I hit, we didn't do hatch, did we? Oh my good gosh. I thought we did hatch. Okay, so let's do that real quick. Open up your properties here and hit new, type in the word HATCH. Okay, go over to the color, and I want you to pick the blue. And then over here on the line weight, I want you to click 0. Okay, so that's the way that that should look. Now I'm going to click on the hatch, and I'm going to go home, and I'm going to make that all hatch. So now that should be the hatch. Other things, let's say, for instance, how can I explain this? Give me a second so that I can think about this. Where would I want to do that? What layer is that? Okay, let's say that, you know, a lot of times, I know what, let me go to this other drawing. Go to Wade. Same to Wade. Was this the one? This was not the one. It was Smith. Let's go and open Smith. Yes. Phil and Penny Smith. Now, in Phil and Penny Smith's thing here, they're taking an existing house and they're doing a bunch of renovations to it. So everything that is in the hidden here is the existing house. And let's say, you know, because it, you know, they kind of look at this thing and they're like, God, can you clean this up to where I don't have to see all this existing stuff? I want to see what it's going to look like in the end. Yes, you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the darn layer off. So I click on off and I click on that layer, and bam, it takes all of the hidden lines out. So now they can look at it and it's a cleaner drawing that shows only what is going to be there in the final destination. If I need to turn it back on, I'm going to have to drop down and find it and turn it back on. Okay, so that's that. Freeze is another one. It's pretty much like the isolate. I can click on this, or excuse me, I can click on freeze, and I'm going to freeze all of these objects. Basically, they just took them away so that I don't see them and I can't mess with them. So if I hit unfreeze, it brings them back. The lock pretty much does the same thing. I can lock this layer, and you know, I can go ahead and I just can't move it. It won't let me, it won't bring the nodes up, and I can't do anything with it. Unlock it, bam. Okay, like I said, I'm going to skip over the block right now because it needs to be a whole brand new thing of its own. The match properties I've covered. You can highlight these and you can change the, I'm sorry, let me do this. You can highlight this. You can change that. You can take it off by layer. By layer means that we've already set this up in the property, in the layer properties. So anytime we draw a text, it's going to be there. Sometimes, like when I'm doing electrical stuff, I may color code things so that I can see the differences. Let's see if this is it. Yes. Okay. Notice that the switches are what's the color called? I'm thinking Magellan. Magenta. Golly, magenta. All right. But my other lines are already, the spline is green. The recessed lights are a different color, or they're basically, you notice that it says by block or block reference. These are blocks. Okay, basically I've drawn a whole bunch of lines and made it a block. And that is, again, that is going to be another episode by itself. So you can go in here and you can change these to get the color off of it if you want it to look different. So in other words, this one particular line, let's say I want it to be red, bam, I can go in there and change that one, even though it's on the A wall, which the standard layer is white, then I can go back and change it to by layer. Groups. Okay, so obviously I have separate things here. I think I've talked about the group. I hit group and it groups them all together in one. If I want to ungroup, I basically just go up here and hit that one, and that ungroups it and takes it back to the single. This has a pull down. I literally do not use these others. I usually just only use group and ungroup on that. The utilities are pretty much very simple. You can do some quick measurements, but now let me explain to you. You see this? I mean, it will pick up on lines and tell you what these dimensions are real quickly as you're going through this. And so it doesn't do particular anything, but just give a reference to it. So you have different types of measurements. So if you want to take the radius, you can click on that. It's going to tell you what the radius is. Let's see what the angle is. Oh, I'm sorry. Go back to that. Click on that. And say if I want to know the area, it's going to tell me the area first corner. Maybe it's not going to. Yeah, it's not going to work that way. I thought it was going to tell me the area of the circle. But basically, these are just reference measurements so that I'm surprised that will not just pull in there and tell me. But anyway, I can highlight the circle and look over here, and it tells me what my area is of this. I usually keep it on quick or distance and let it at that. The other points in here, let's see, quick select all. So select all, obviously, if you need to select everything in the page, and then you have a quick calculator that you can also use, which you can set up for scientific, number pad, any number of things there. I typically do not use this. I like my Construction Master Pro that I use, so I just use on that. Okay, so guys, that's the end of this segment of the CAD 2. Make sure that you practice. So I'm going to give you some things to draw on the next video. I hope to do that on Thursday. So just be practicing on some of this stuff and do the best you can. That's all I ask for. If you have any questions, always remember, give me a text and I will help you in any way I can. Thanks, guys.